Well then, I guess we can start this story from the beginning of the beginnings. So then, a while back I received an email from some random company boasting 10,000 player deathmatch, or at the time it was actually boasted as a battle royale. Yes, regardless, see, in the past, TheYamiks had received similar emails with clickbaity titles and whatnot else, so I figured it's just another bullshit. So I just figured, okay, let's take a look real quick. As it turned out, it was legit. Who knew? So a company in the UK called Hayden decided to do a tech demo. And no, not this kind of a tech demo. Worse. Anyways, just to give you a quick background as to what is my experience with the massively multiplayer aspect in games. See, when I started out making videos, I made videos for PlanetSide 2. This massively multiplayer FPS game that boasted about 1,000 players in one map. And of course, 6,000 on one server. At least that was back in the day. I even took part in breaking the world record for most players in single battle for FPS games. And here's my participation certificate. Look at it! Look at it! And yes, I'm very proud of it. So yeah, when it comes down to games and the way they advance, I find that aspect of just bringing in so many people in one place, doing whatever they are doing, probably fucking each other, a rather fascinating aspect. And while I'm not saying that it's the way for the future of games, I'm saying that it's definitely part of it. So then, what about Hayden's 10,000 player test? Well, it had a premise and some kind of a goal. Mind you, I didn't expect any sort of a big gameplay, just a fire button, move buttons and mouse controls, which they had. And being a tech demo, I expected pretty much what all the tech demos end up doing, and that's crashing. But what I did not expect was that the main menu would crash. And before we even got to the test, it was quite apparent already that whoever made the main menu was completely incompetent. The mouse simply randomly disappears. If you try to remap buttons, it crashes. You press too many buttons, not even targeting anything, it crashes! And worst of all. So this is the menu, and well, thus far it looks okay. The GPU is being absolutely slammed. Why is GPU being slammed right now? I know I'm encoding, but it's the menu. It seemed that whoever made the login screen didn't know about this thing called frame capping, so that your graphics card wouldn't first of all overwork itself, and for us streamers and content creators, cause other issues with the capturing devices. So that was wonderful. I mean, holy fuck, I haven't seen anyone in the past 3-4 years at least fail at making a menu, and a tech demo menu at that. And this thing was presented in GDC, the Game Developer Conference. Fuck, this is not even about game development, this is just the basic software development issue. I mean, fuck me, what are the goddamn standards these days? Okay, keep it in check, keep your inner programmer in check, TheYamiks, come on. Right, let's talk about the actual meat of things, the test itself, the 10,000 player event. Right, well, aside from a few crashes due to mentioned issues previously, I got a few crashes, but overall, after realizing which buttons not to press, not to repeat the issues, I got to, well, experience this. And after what I think developers getting kind of worried about player numbers, they started adding AI client, reaching over 12,000 clients at one time playing together. And at this point I'm stretching the definition of playing so much it might as well be silly putty. And I'll get to that in a moment, but there is no denying the developers did manage to make a interactive medium thing that could actually sustain 12,000 players, or at least clients, doing something together. It's certainly something that no one has done before, and certainly can show what could be done in the future. I mean, just look at the last 20 years, which coincidentally is about 80% of my lifetime. In this time, games have gone from 4 to 8 LAN servers, to Half-Life's and Counter-Strike's 32-player servers, to Battlefield or Crysis 64 64-player servers, and there were even some games dotted about with 128-player servers. Then in 2012, PlanetSide 2 comes out with about 1,000 players in one map and 6,000 on a server. And yes, of course, I'm mentioning first-person shooter games because, well, that's what I was familiar with. But the fact doesn't change that in this time, games have evolved quite tremendously when it comes down to the capacity of their servers, the ability for players to interact with each other in greater, bigger scale. And to be frank, I've always been a proponent of this trend. So then what about Aether engine? What about that one? So in the footage that you can see right now, can you tell me what's missing there? Anyone? Anyone? It was lacking that thing called gameplay. And yes, this is a tech demo. Obviously, you can't expect too much of it, but let's be honest. Connecting 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 or even 1,000,000 to one service, well, it has been done. In fact, you're probably watching this video on one such service. But okay, if you need that constant connection, then perhaps finance industry or economics or, those things, they too have pretty much accomplished such feat. See, Aether Wars, or Eve Aether Wars, failed to deliver the most important thing that they should have set out in the first place to do, and that is provide gameplay to those 1,000, 10,000 clients. See, this whole tech demo for me actually failed in part because, well, I wasn't really playing anything. I was just looking around of just some missiles flying about and that's it. The interactability, even when targeting one of the ships or whatnot else, you didn't even feel that you are doing anything there. So what was the point? Just to connect people? Really? That's it? If so, then that has been done numerous times, in fact. Players will not play a game where you basically take an action every second and wait for the ping to resolve what they did. See, player tolerance for the response of the server, for the response of enemies, anything in the world in fact, is low. So in fact, in that regard, such a demo did fail. Cloud-based servers, the way Aether engine was working, perhaps is a new concept, but it all comes down to the same old question. What's the point if you can't respond in time? In the future, yes, I'd love a game with 10,000 or even 100,000 player servers, or rather just a server in one space, in one place, where you could just go and meet anyone anywhere. You wouldn't need to go through massive instance issues with peer-to-peer or something alike. That would be a dream, and yes, maybe that's coming. But what Hayden presented to us with the Aether Wars, well, it lacked tremendously. And sure, perhaps this is the first step in such a grandiose thing, but honestly, I'm not gonna be really trusting such a technology. Unless you can prove it won't be like playing with someone from Australia constantly. As the last thing though, I'll wish Hayden the best of luck in making the Aether engine and menus for the future. I'll sure will keep an eye out on the project because it certainly piques my interest in more than just one way. But unless something really conclusive comes of it, it will just be a slight curiosity. So what about you? What do you think of the future of gaming? Is the massive online multiplayer thing a thing? Or perhaps you would focus your attention to something else, be those graphics, gameplay, story, or perhaps microtransactions? Of course not, that'd be horrible. But anyways, do let me know down below.